Now, I would like to request our first keynote speaker, founder and director of Digital Empowerment Foundation. He is a noted social entrepreneur, and I request Mr. Manzar. Thank you.
हाय ज़्यादातर लोग हिंदी तो समझते होंगे but let's for the sake of internationalization of internet we should talk in English, otherwise there is who cannot understand Hindi, who cannot understand Hindi, I mean English, sorry, who cannot understand Hindi, I mean English, sorry. So let's talk in English. So I think certainly English has localized in Nepal, even though the local language haven't globalized in our region. My name is Osama Manzar. I am from Digital Empowerment Foundation. I run a not-for-profit organization for the last 10-11 years. Many of the people in Nepal would know Digital Empowerment Foundation because we run one of the awards for Manthan Award and a Billionth Award and bigger country. Incidentally, like Rajneesh, I was born in the neighborhood of Nepal in West Champaran in Bihar and North Bihar, and used to come to Nepal to smuggle goods in 70s and 80s, which was not available in India. I think now the situation is other way around. So it was about virtual content and the content which you cannot touch and feel content and the content which you cannot touch and feel, and more feel may not be able to touch. The theme of the discussion is localization of content or local content, and how we relate to the internet. And the situation is similar in India and in Nepal and in most of the South Asian countries. I didn't know that Nepal has got more than 100 languages. India itself, official languages are 22, although there must be a couple of hundred more than 200 languages. And what is extremely important in the current context is because of we have so many of languages, perhaps we cannot have so many of scripts, we cannot have so many of different technologies coming together. So what is the common technology that we need to learn or need to use, which is beyond exercising for technology? And I think it's if you think very hard, the natural language is the oral language, is the oral communication medium. Can I have the next slide, please? So if you look at any country in this region, including yours and ours, although in the morning when I was looking at internet, I read that in India, Nepal has got more than some way or the other. I don't know whether this number is very high or low, or is it correct? But in India, not more than 10% or 12% people have got internet access, and that too they do not access all the time. If you look at the regular connectivity and access to the internet in India, it's not more than 4 to 5% regular. But 4 to 5% is more than the European countries. So that's a different case altogether in terms of numbers. But in terms of percentage, I think Nepal is far ahead. The other thing about Nepal, very unique, is that you have the second highest radio stations in the world. About more than 50 radio stations, community radio stations here. I had done one research several years back, and I learned that there are so many radio stations here. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that there is a link to it in terms of the commonality of language and technology and what we have in terms of oral. So this is the base of our countries. 70% of the country lives in rural India, and they are generally considered to be not connected, not connected to the internet. Next. And if you look at the mass media of the masses, is oral. They communicate orally, they listen, they share, they do not use paper or pen, and that's the reason why we call them illiterate, isn't it? And that is also because we do not know a medium which was invented thousands of years back, which was paper and pen. If you don't know how to use paper and pen, you are illiterate. Now, incidentally, the mediums are changing, although there is a whole generation after generation whom we can say that they are now currently using the modern medium, which is the digital medium, but they never used the Gutenberg medium, which is the print medium or the pen or something like that. And therefore, they are always called illiterate, although they may be very, very knowledgeable people, but they were called illiterate. So that's more or less is the definition and the paradox of this region. Next. If you look at the various components of medium, we are perhaps in the fourth screen or fifth screen if you really look at it. We had radio, it was always there for a long, long time. Cinema, we know that was the first screen that we ever had. Then television, then computers, and now we have mobile as the fourth screen, if you really see the progress of the screen in front of us. And if you consider blackboard also as a screen, then it was, let's say, 0.0, and then these are the various interactive medium that started following after the fourth screen from mobile, SMS, videos, and Web 2.0 technologies. The real character between the older medium and the new medium is of interactivity and the orality. That's the most important part. We had older medium which was not interactive, which had the new media which is interactive. They both talk to each other, but also it is oral. Now you have a mobile, you can talk, you can call a person, you can make a call, you don't need to be literate or need new language to make a call, no, not at all. You can talk to anybody in any of the 130 languages that you have or 200 plus languages we have in India or whatever. So that's the progression or the evolution of technology that has reached to the natural medium of the humanity. So that's the great news that we have. Now, what are we doing to really take advantage of this new technology? Are we only consuming, as Rajneesh said, are we only consuming content or are we also producing content? Are we participating in content creation or we are only consuming the content? That's very, very important. Why? Because if you are consuming content, that means you are being the recipient of the globalization and you are not the participant of the globalization. So you are constantly drinking Pepsis and Cokes of the world, but you are not making people drink your sharbats or your, rasnas or whatever you produce locally. You buy the global product, but you may not be able to, sell your local product to the world market, and that's very, very important. And that's what in this interactive medium brings it. We have some experiments in India that we have been doing. I hope that the similar kind of model exists in Nepal. Because we cannot go door to door to get people connected, get people YouTube, get people whatever. So how do you really connect people in an institutional manner, which is the highest in numbers? That's very, very important. And it should be in different parts. For example, if you look at your country or any country, there are 4 or 5 areas that really takes the crux of the entire economy or population and all that. And according to us, it's about 4 areas. One is the governance. It is very important that the entire governance structure, government bodies, government institutions should be connected, should use it, and from bottom to the top. The second is NGOs, which is the social sector, and the third is business sector, and the fourth is health sector. That broadly is what we think that really can cover your entire country. And if you look at your country, if I look at my country, all these institutions are disconnected, totally disconnected. I'll give you an example next. So let's take panchayat. You call panchayat your local, your village councils. What do you call? Village Development Commission, right? So we call ourselves in India we call panchayat. There are 250,000 panchayat in India. 250,000. I'm sure you must be having thousands. Yeah. So 4,000, and that's the lowest level of governance. And if you look at the lowest level of governance and you go and find out, are they connected? Are they using digital medium? Are they transparent? Are they sharing information? You will find that there is, even though there is a e-governance, it is top-down. It is not bottom-up. The people who govern at a village level are usually you will find out. So what we did in India, and we would like to share that experience here, is that we started building one by one panchayat website or the village development council website or the commission website, and started asking them to share information. What does it do? It creates local content, shareable content, it creates transparency, and it also creates digital literacy among the lowest level of government officials who operate at a village level. And I'm just sharing, I don't know whether it will work here or not, but I feel that it should work in most of the places in South Asian or underdeveloping countries. And we have tried it in Bangladesh also and in many other places also. We have done only 500, by the way, online. We have 250,000. But our government has started listening that yes, this is a very good model. Because there is no digital literacy at that level, so you create three kinds of impact: digital literacy, transparency, and the sense of governance, and being able to listen to the people. Next is schools, which is education. Schools is the basic paradigm of your next 30 years of development or something. If you're not planned today, you're gone. In India, we have 1.4 million schools. I don't know how many schools you have in Nepal. 34,000. How many of them have got internet connectivity or even IT lab? If it is not, then you are totally compromising the modern medium of communication that they are unable to get and not ready for the next 30 years or 20 years. So you are really compromising the future by not investing rightly. It is about medium, because we are talking about digital as a medium. You need to introduce this new medium. Because ultimately the older medium of communication will be vanishing, and therefore you will be suffering again not knowing the modern communication tool. And therefore it is important that we target in education sector, if at all, any of the area that you need to target, you need to target the schools. We did in India also, and we are seeing that lots of things. There also, not more than 8% of the schools have internet connectivity or IT lab. So we do not have a very great example to give you. But what I'm saying is that these are the areas that covers the larger issues of any country as far as the digital medium and connectivity is concerned. Next is health sector. We have not been able to do anything with the health sector. Wherever we have worked in, few 10, 20 places with connectivity, there are health sector which is taking our connectivity, but it is not largely. Health sector is another big issue. Why? Because audio-visual medium makes the doctor available to the local people without being present locally. And it is the most easy medium that can be used for connectivity on the basis of connectivity, but we are not using it. So I would say that health sector is another one that is very, very important, and also the women health workers. Next. And another one is the business sector. I see a lot of example in next please. A lot of example in Nepal. I see lots of small micro businesses coming online. There's no doubt. I don't have the numbers, but if you look at the business, you will find in any country the real big business is run not by the big corporate houses, but the small micro enterprises who live in clusters, who are based on traditional skills, who try to make today and sell tomorrow or in 1 week's time. And there are hundreds and thousands of such clusters and people who are relying on this business. But their business should not only be limited to the local area, but it should also be limited to the outside. Also, because there is a huge demand in terms of sustainability, there is a huge demand of localized products, local made products, handmade products, which gives a lot of employment. And if you are doing a business, it will be absolutely, shameful that if you do not have an office or a website or something like that, even if you are 1 person or 2 person or 3 people. And therefore, we have one program called EMSME, and I'm happy to share with that. We give free website to anybody who wants to have a website in India. And from the next year, we start charging them about $50 or $60. And therefore, it is easy for small enterprises who do not even have a money for 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees to pay to you. They come very, encouraging. And then they share about a year or something, and then they can start thinking that whether it is sustainable for them to share about $50 or $60 or not each year. And therefore, I would say that Nepal also must be full of traditional skill-based business clusters all over. And then why not they have an online presence? They should have an online presence, and they should be encouraged by associations, even the Internet Society chapters. And that's the area that one should focus in terms of local product going global and also connectivity. And the fourth example is the NGO. Of course, this is the most well-known example because NGOs are everywhere. Wherever there is underdevelopment, there are NGOs. And most of the NGOs, unlike in many other sectors, from the literacy and education perspective, they are much more aware than anybody. In terms of pushing their purpose or activism or anything. In India, we have 3.3 million NGOs. That means every 4% have an NGO, if you really translate into population. That's like a huge number. I don't know the number in Nepal, but NGOs are the second after government who have got the best information about the local areas. And most of the NGOs will come out with newsletters, with pamphlets, with project reports. They have a lot of material to share. Why don't you share it online? Why don't you have a website? You do have a fund, you do have to raise funds. Why don't you come online? You will be appreciated for your transparency. Why don't you share your information? That will enrich the internet, that will enrich the local language, and even if local language is in English, it will increase the contextualization of local information. That's very, very important. So we are sitting on content, but we are not sharing it, and therefore, and NGOs, I would say that if you need any help, please let us know. We have a e-NGO program. We have done 3 workshops in Kathmandu, in Birganj and other places. We have put about 30-40 NGOs online from Nepal, and this is again a free of cost, unlimited place. If you have friends, NGOs, please let us know. We'll make them online, and everything is free from domain to hosting to website development. And it's futile to say that your language and our language is the same. So it can be in English, it can be in Hindi, it can be in any other language that you want. That we can share. Next is a challenge. I think in your area because of the terrain also, in our areas because of the remoteness also. Connectivity itself is a big issue. From infrastructure point of view. We cannot expect that the government will do all the connectivity or the private sector will do all the connectivity. What is there? Is there some jugaad? Is there some ways that we can do connectivity? Can we do last mile the way you do FM radios? Every third person start thinking that we can start a community. The reason why community radio is so popular here is because you have no other option of sharing the information. And FM is something that across the hills and others you can share in the valleys, and therefore the radio is so popular here. Why not you use the same kind of background and flourish with Wi-Fi networking, with the line of sight? And after this, I have 2 examples to share before I end my talk, and I have a small video to share with you that what we have realized and used with the partnership of Internet Society is that how we connect the remote areas and what is the advantage overall in terms of content building, business building, and also creating awareness. Make sure the sound is there. You can go back.
Chanderi is a small municipality of Ashok Nagar district in Madhya Pradesh. It has a population of just over 40,000, 40% of whom are illiterate. There is no ATM facility and electricity for only 6 hours every day. A traditional weaving cluster is the main source of income for Chanderi. Here, 3,500 weaving families create the famous Chanderi saris. These generate an annual revenue of 10 million US dollars. However, the average income of a weaver is only 50 US dollars per month. In 2010, a digital design resource center called Chanderiya was set up. Through Chanderiya, people of Chanderi got a taste of digital tools, computers, internet, broadband, YouTube, and so on. Our main mission is to introduce digital tools to the weavers so that they can get connected and introduced to the modern world. I have taught more than 1,000 students and adults across Chanderiya, all from diverse families. Kesar has also got training in wireless network engineering.
आज इस संस्थान में
Initially, we learned how to start and shut down computers. Now, my 8-year-old son operates a computer freely and frequently accesses the internet.
Through the efforts of Chanderiya, computer knowledge and literacy has spread rapidly. Thus, 25-year-old Furkan, who has barely passed school, learned digital archiving at Chanderiya. The internet has exposed the world to the citizens of Chanderi. In 2013, there are over 50 households with Wi-Fi connections. 11 out of the 13 schools have Wi-Fi connections and computer centers. 2 of the hotels in Chanderi boast of Wi-Fi net connections. Even a couple of madrasas have internet connections and computer labs. Equally, the internet has exposed Chanderi to the world. Because of this wireless internet and broadband, the weavers of Chanderi are taking their centuries-old craft to the world through e-commerce and Facebook. It is just the beginning, but the beginning has taken deep roots and is there to stay and grow.
So there are three things that is here. The cluster were having 50 crores or 60 crores of business when we went there. Now the business is 150 crores. And we haven't, not that we are making money out of it, it is information asymmetry. There was no linkage between them and the market available. There was lack of information in terms of accessing it and consuming it. So it's not like we have done some wonders or we are making a lot of money or something, no. It is a 40,000 people cluster, and this cluster, like any other cluster you will have, it's a similar kind of situation that you will find everywhere in Nepal as well. And we did a Wi-Fi connectivity in that entire area with, second-hand computers and even used routers and all that, using line of sight and all that. So when we started this connectivity and all that, now everybody has stopped taking connectivity from the BSNL, which is the government organization's connectivity provider, and they are taking it from us. And the highest user base of all the content is YouTube, which directly says that audiovisual content is beyond the literacy and the education, and therefore the consumption is high. And the third thing is important, which is they did not go through some kind of literacy project or something like that. They just started learning on their own. So that is the reason why it makes, and I will give you another example, which is 1.5 minutes of video, if I'm not taking too much of time, which is even a worse situation like from this. This is
Band in Rajasthan, home to Saharia and Bhil tribes, is one of the most poverty-stricken districts in India. In 2010, they got introduced to some digital tools like digital camera, computers, and crawling and barely functional internet. And the person who was at the forefront of bringing technology and new media in the life of the tribals of Bharat is an unassuming Bijoy Roy. He completed only basic education, class 8, just literate, but his speed of adaptability to digital device is God-gifted. Give him anything and he'll learn it within hours. Be it computer, graphic design, digital camera, editing video, climbing on towers for wireless networking, configuring Wi-Fi, modems, routers, taking geo-specific locational coordinates, mapping locations on Google Maps, setting up a line of sight, opening hardware, loading software, doing conversation on Skype, setting up teleconferencing and telehealth centers, and so on.
So, this guy Vijay is not even 7th or 8th pass. He is a tribal from that area. This is a famous area for Bhil tribes and the Saharia tribes. And he learned everything. He's not the only engineer, but he's the exemplary engineer that we have got who has done Wi-Fi connectivity, line of sight, and some of the areas are 40 kilometers away from each other. So it's something like you have a hill here, you have hill here, and the whole population here. It's it's so easy to connect them. Just put a line of sight and then connect. And you have one biggest example of the world called Nepal Wireless, who have done it. They are, in fact, they helped us in doing this one. So we have taken Nepal's help in doing in our areas. But the message is that there are ways that we can take care of the infrastructure. There are ways that we have to leapfrog the literacy barrier and the education barrier. And this modern technology, audiovisual modern technology, is something that really helps you to leapfrog and take the matter into your own hand and produce your own content, even though you have to consume the external content. And I have one last slide that I would like to show you the model that I would suggest that if you are talking about local content, local context, internet connectivity, infrastructure, this is one model that I always try to share with people, is that you take any cluster, take connectivity as the basis, and each and every aspect of connectivity should be taken into consideration. Then only the real development takes place. So it cannot be only just connectivity. You have the hospital should have a connectivity, your government should have a connectivity, schools should have a connectivity. Then it's a holistic thing. And that is how the cluster can progress. Including travel, tourism and everything. That will also progress. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Osama, for this thought-provoking keynote speech. Learning from the similarities and the similar context and example of India, I think we have so many examples now and so many new areas where we can think of developing local content.